What's up, y'all? Happy Sunday. It's your girl, Taylor Nixon, back in the flesh. In the flesh on this Sunday. Last Sunday, I think, of Scorpio season, which I honestly kind of forgot that it was still Scorpio season. But yeah, we're back. And Takeaways with Tay is here for another episode, another rejuvenating episode. This week's episode, I'm really excited about. I'm not even going to lie. This episode, I feel like, is going to be very insightful and special because I get to talk about something that I really enjoy. And let me rewind here for a second. So for those of you who are just now tuning in, this is called Takeaways with Tay. I am Tay, your host, and it is a live where I provide you with key insights, key takeaways from books that I've read. Those books are not just any books. They're nonfiction books, self-help books, books that cater to anyone wanting to grow in life, learn things that they may have not known about previously, improve their relationships, improve their communities, improve all those things. This is why Takeaways with Tay exists. So it's been a fun ride so far. I really appreciate everyone that's been tuning in. And yeah. So, without further ado, this week's book is going to be specifically for my entrepreneurs. So, I noticed that I have a lot of people that follow me or not follow me, but specifically tune into this segment of my brand because you guys are entrepreneurs. You guys are looking to improve yourself. You're looking to improve your business. You're looking to improve the world, and which hint is like a big part of just self-improvement. You know, like when you want to improve yourself, most likely you want to improve the world too. They're kind of synonymous. So this week's book is going to be for those people. So all of my aspiring business owners, my entrepreneurs, the people who are out there hustling, bustling, getting it, or just, you know, maybe just getting started and trying to get everything organized together, etc. I read a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, and it's by W. Chan, Kim, and Renee. I'm going to butcher this last name, but I think it's Mouborgne. I don't know. Sorry, Renee. But those two, they are esteemed strategy genius or esteemed strategy gurus in just business in general. And they are leaders of the INSFAD Blue Ocean Strategy Institute. And so you can look that up. But if you don't know what Blue Ocean Strategy is, we're going to dive into all that. So don't worry about these terms that I'm using because I'm going to make sure that you guys understand exactly what I'm talking about here. All right. So without further ado, let's get into it. The very first thing. Oh, hold on 1 second. What's going on? Pause. All right. Yeah. So the very first thing that I am going to start with here is that economics is warfare. So anyone who's in the business world knows about how corporations and things like that offer or operate. Essentially, if you're in business in general, your whole purpose in business is to make a profit, right? And this is even with nonprofits, quote unquote. Nonprofits are in business as well in a certain sense. Like they might have different tax codes, things like that. But essentially, economics is warfare. So when we're talking about business, when you go and you operate in a space where business, whatever the case may be, you're going into a space with other people who are also competing for the same money, same customers, same attention, same whatever you want to call it. And so that's why I said it's warfare. It goes very deep. And a lot of people will do whatever it takes to maintain their power. Oftentimes, power is dictated by money because money gives you access. So people will do so much to maintain that power, maintain that access, maintain that jurisdiction. And so that's why economics is warfare. And we can go deeper, but I'm gonna stop there. And so in particular, I have been on this entrepreneur journey now for, let's say, really my entire 20s. So 8 years. I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years. And a lot of the people that I know, and myself included, we're first-time entrepreneurs. So this is our first time getting a business. This is our first time having a vision, having some goals and things like that. And so oftentimes we don't really know what to do. We don't know where to start because we're just now getting started. And if you're just now tuning in, we're talking about the blue ocean strategy. So that's the book that we're coming from. This is for my entrepreneurs specifically because I really want to provide some value today. I'm going to help. We're going to have a conversation today. So once again, economics is warfare. When we go into business, you and I, the people that are in our group, oftentimes we're the first people in that business. We're the first people in our family that are operating in businesses. So we don't know what's going on. We don't know what to do. We don't know where to start. We don't know about taxes. We don't know about profit losses. We don't know about all these things. And so we oftentimes have to bump our heads and learn the hard way because we don't have the mentors, the guidance, et cetera, et cetera. And so I'm only saying all this because the past 8 years that I've been doing entrepreneurship, that's exactly been my journey. I didn't know about taxes. I didn't know about putting away, XYZ, minimizing my taxable income. Now I owe taxes. I didn't know about how to market myself. I didn't know I needed to have a brand. I didn't know how to communicate to my audience. I didn't know who my audience was. I didn't know all these things, and all these things matter. Like they matter, and they're important for a reason. And so entrepreneurship in itself is just, there's a lot that goes into it. What's up, Ben? Dope. Nice that you checked in today. Appreciate it. You're in for a treat. So, all right. So once again, the book is called Blue Ocean Strategy, and let's talk about what it is. So we got red oceans and we got blue oceans. Okay. Red oceans, think of it as like it's bloody. There's a lot of people in it. Because there's a lot of people, there's a lot of competition. People are killing, they're dying. They're like, think of it as like the ocean is populated with too much, and it's bloody because there's so much competition. Blue ocean is like you create it, and the space is very vast because there's no one in it. You're creating a blue ocean. There's not that many fish in the sea. So now you can attract opportunities because you created the ocean. So it's like you created the playing field in which your business is going to operate. And so now you don't have to worry about competition because the competition is in the red ocean where there's so many fish. There's so many people competing for the same fish, essentially. So my first takeaway from reading this book is to make your competition irrelevant. That's what you want to do. Like that should be your main purpose as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, because when you make your competition irrelevant, it doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter what's going on. You've made them completely irrelevant. You created something that it doesn't even matter what access to markets, et cetera, like none of that matters. And Blue Ocean strategy focuses on creating uncontested market space by minimizing risk and competition through innovation and differentiation. So there's a framework that the book provides. The framework essentially starts with this: eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. So it's four different parts: eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. I'm going to use an example so that you really understand this, because there's plenty of examples in the world right now, but specifically let's talk about Tesla. Tesla has disrupted the automotive industry completely, right? We went from driving cars off of fossil fuels, where we have to go to the space, get the fossil fuel, bring the fossil fuel to a location, then we can bring the car to that location, refuel the car with the fossil fuel, and now we can drive the car. Tesla was like, let's eliminate fossil fuels altogether. Let's just go completely electronic. Let's do electric vehicles, and let's create a new market, essentially. So they created an entirely new market focused on electronic vehicles that appeared to a wide range of customers, like people who are environmentally cautious buyers. And we can talk about if Tesla really is like environmentally the best option, because I have my own opinions. But perceived, on the perception, like on the outside, they look like they're more environment safe because they don't use fossil fuels. That's for the person that's not looking into how these vehicles are actually created and what goes into that part. But on the outside looking in, it's like, oh, they're economically whatever because they don't use fossil fuels. All right, average person is just gonna be like, all right, cool. You know, I'm gonna shop Tesla because they're better for the environment. They don't really do their research. But anyways, that's Tesla's brand. Is they've created this whole new way of driving vehicles. Not only that, they eliminated the dependence on traditional fossil fuels to run a car. So that's the first thing, eliminate. They also eliminated complex internal combustion engines and dealership distribution systems. So those are a couple things. They reduced marketing costs and repairs because the complexity of their vehicles they don't have these complex engines, etc. It's like all of it is it's software based. So the cars are all running on this software that allows the car to get from X, Y, and Z without all this hardware, whatever stuff that they have to do. So the third part of the framework is to raise. They raise the focus on vehicle performance. So specifically acceleration, design, luxury, and then environmental sustainability. And then on top of that, they created, so the last part of the framework is create. They created a network of proprietary superchargers. So if you don't know what that means, proprietary technology is basically technology that is very hard for someone else to copy. When you can create something that's very hard for someone else to copy, that's a way for you to eliminate competition, because let's say you put something out into the world and everybody's like, that's a really great idea, I'm going to do it. It's only a matter of time before they figure out how to do it. And now you got competition because they basically took your idea and made it and did it better. But if you have proprietary technology, like the Apple has proprietary technology inside their phones with the iOS system, it's very hard for other people to reiterate that. And when you have something like that, you basically patent it. They can't. If they do it, it'll take them a very long time before they can do it, which then they become irrelevant, because by the time they get into the market, you've already captured most of the market. So you kind of have to look at your industry and your market as like, the market already exists. If you create a new market, which is essentially the blue ocean, if you create a new market, then you have 100% of that market. If you're stepping into a market that already exists, you have all of your big players, your small players, etc. The pie is already created. So you're going to be taking a portion of that pie. That's why I said economics or business is warfare, is because if somebody already has 50% of that market and then somebody else already has 30, somebody else already has 20, you're coming in and you're competing with them. If you create an entirely new market, blue ocean, you got 100% of that market. And as long as you're the first person in that market, you have the market share. Most of the market share is for you or created by you. And then if anyone else enters into that market, they're cutting into your portion of that market share of that 100%. So you might go from 70, let's say they take 30. Now you got 70% of the market, they got 30. But so essentially that's how you make your competition irrelevant. He said Elon used a corporate mindset in trade marketing Tesla and brands under his umbrella. Yeah, he did, honestly. And I know I'm using Elon Musk because he is a really good example of this. But I will say that the average person and Elon Musk are two different people. Let's just be honest. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. So he literally has access to resources, people, insights. I mean, we could say that he swayed the recent election, but I'm not going there. But I say all this to say that he's not your average, you're just your everyday person. I'm using Tesla as an example, but something a little bit more realistic might be like a Uber or like a Airbnb, because those were very disruptive. Airbnb and Uber were very disruptive in the market that they created as well. With they didn't have as much resources as Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. If he wants to create a rocket ship just for the heck of doing it, he could do that. So there is a difference, like, and that's the thing with the blue oceans is, yeah, Netflix, exactly. Netflix is a really good example of the blue ocean, because they basically ushered in the whole streaming of TV, movies, etc. Like, Netflix is the one who did that. Now, notice how Netflix isn't thriving as much as they used to. When they first started the whole streaming thing, they were like to the moon. But notice how now we got Hulu, now we got HBO, now we got Amazon Prime. We have all these different streaming services. And so now Netflix is struggling to be on top, because once again, Netflix created the new market, the blue ocean, but then all these other streaming services came in, and now they're taking portions of that market that Netflix created. So you have to constantly, that's my whole point, you have to constantly innovate. You have to constantly be ahead of your industry, because it's warfare. It's only a matter of time before somebody comes in and they're trying to basically do what you're doing, but do it better. Apple Watch is another good example of a blue ocean strategy, because they basically combined this technology on your watch. Like, usually we typically use watches before the Apple Watch. We use watches just to tell time. Now we have them and we tell time. We can monitor our steps. We can answer calls. We can listen to music. Like, that's revolutionary. That's a whole new market. Now we just tapped into a whole new audience. Now, the second takeaway from all this is that none of this comes without challenges. Like, yes, essentially blue ocean strategy, that those are like great for business, but there's a lot of resistance that comes with all of this, because one, sometimes you can be very innovative and the cost of that innovation is very high. So, like, let's say you have a really great idea, but in order to execute that idea, you have to have the resources. You have to have the R&D, the research and development. You got to be able to actually make it happen. Also, too, another thing is, when it comes to marketing what you've created, oftentimes, because it's so like unique, because it's so different, there isn't enough market research to tell, like, is this even going to be profitable? Do people actually really want this? And so that's where the money, like all the money that you would spend towards creating this like blue ocean strategy, would come from researching the current market, really researching the problem, researching how you can address it in a unique way. And you would really have to do a lot of research. And that's what the book talks about, is one of the hindrances to creating a blue ocean strategy type of business, is because of all the research and all the resources that go into it. It's not impossible, but it does take a lot of thinking. It takes a lot of strategizing. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of being very intentional about everything that you're doing. And that, if you don't know what you're doing, like, it can be very challenging. There's also, so that market uncertainty, execution risk, competition imitation. So we talked about that. So once you have this new business venture created, and you've created this new market, now, especially if it's a really good something that you're bringing into the industry, people are going to notice it. You're going to start getting pressed. Like, people are going to be like, what is this? How does it work? How do I sign up? And then you got competition that are like, how can I do it better? And then now you got to stay ahead of the competition. So that's another thing too, because sometimes competition could come in and do it way better than you, and now you're out of business. And then sustainability, like, how long can you maintain that type of output? So, like, in Tesla's situation, like, is it really sustainable to create electronic vehicles? I mean, I don't see why not. Right now at this point in time, I think as long as the cars are affordable, and people continue to buy them, I think that Tesla's going to be okay. And then leadership, like, you want to make sure that when you are bringing in people, when you're hiring people to be a part of your team, they see your vision. Not that they see the vision that they want, that you really have to know and make sure that they see your vision and that they're ready and willing to carry that out, because that's going to be a big portion of the process. It's just bringing in people that believe in you, or pitching yourself and communicating your ideas so that people believe in you and they want to get on board. Like kind of making them feel like if they're not on board, then they're going to miss out, essentially. Which takes a lot of self-belief. It takes a lot of conviction. It takes a lot of knowing your value, knowing what you have to offer the world, knowing how you can make the world a better place. And like nobody is going to, you can't expect anybody to pour into you and motivate you and do all, and like at the end of the day, you got to be number one ambassador for your brand, period. On 24/7, 7 days a week, period. Like it is what it is, because you really can't have all day. It's all on you, at least in the beginning. Takeaway number 3 is you want to reduce as much risk as possible when creating a business. So that goes back to using the 4 actions framework that I talked about earlier, which was the eliminate, reduce, raise, and create. So you can kind of eliminate some of the risk that comes with creating a business by taking the time out to plan. Honestly, research, like doing your research. A lot of times, and I used to do this too, like we create because we think somebody wants something. When you create something, when you want to offer value, the only way to offer value is you have to know what people want. What do people need? You can't tell people. Sometimes you can, but a lot of times, in order for you to really prove that you have something, you have to ask people, what do they need? You have to really dig into their world, figure out what struggles do they have? What challenges do they have? How can you specifically solve that? How can you do it in an innovative way? And until you understand that, it's going to be very hard to market. I'm learning this myself right now. Like, marketing relies upon you knowing who you're speaking to. If I don't know who I'm speaking to, I'm just throwing something at the wall hoping somebody catches it. If I know who I'm speaking to, I can tweak my message to that person or to that group of people, and then now they're probably more likely to listen to what I have to say because I took the time out to understand them. It's just like in a relationship. If you're talking to someone and you don't really know, you don't take the time and the consideration to really understand them, any conversation that you have with them, there's going to be a disconnect. It's going to be disconnected because you don't understand them. You don't know them. You don't take the time out to figure them out. So you got to have that same mindset when it comes to business, when it comes to being an entrepreneur and being a business owner. You have to know who you're speaking to. You have to know what they need. If you don't take nothing else from what I'm saying, know your audience. Like know them like the back of your hand. Know where they shop. Know how much their salary is. Get a good indication of where they live, what they like to do on the weekend. Do they have children? Are they married? Like, you have to, these things matter. These businesses that you shop with, they know these things about you. I know for a fact, Apple probably knows more about you than your significant other. Like the way that you use the phone, the way that you interact with her, like Apple knows all that information. Apple, let's say, what's another good, all these apps that you're using, these applications that you guys download, they are utilizing your data. They have your data. They know what your, when you swipe left, Instagram, for example, when you are watching something, the algorithm knows, okay, this person likes this. So let me give them more of this type of content. When you're interacting with people, Instagram's going to make suggestions. Oh, you should interact with this person because based upon your interaction, like it's data. Data is like more important than real estate, especially for this new era of technology that we're entering with AI. Like knowing why people do what they do is going to help you connect with them. It's going to help you understand them, help you put products in front of them, position your product, position your service in a way that is going to make them want to do business with you, essentially. And the last bit of tips that I have, like, for all of this, because like I said, I've been doing this now for 8 years and I've bumped my head so many times, and I'm honestly still surprised that I'm even still doing this shit, because this thing, entrepreneurship will literally, like, it tests so much, because life does not stop. Life does not stop when you're struggling with bills, when you're struggling with relationships. It doesn't stop when you are watching your parents get older and they're going through health trials. Life does not stop when you're trying to figure out if you can pay rent versus if you can pay your car note. Like, life keeps going. And the thing about business is, like, if you're not resilient, it will eat you up. Like, if you don't know your why, if you don't know why you're doing something, if it's not big enough, you're going to give up, because it requires so much. It requires for you to be the best version of yourself. It requires for you to learn how to communicate. It requires for you to be intentional about everything. Like, if you're going to spend your time doing something, why are you doing that? Does it align with your goals? Does it align with what you want out of life? Like, entrepreneurship, business, nonprofit, for-profit, whatever, like, it requires a certain version of you that I think a lot of people, they aspire to be entrepreneurs. They aspire to have nonprofits. They aspire to have businesses, etc. But they don't have the habits. They don't have the discipline. They don't have the mindset. That's a huge portion. Like, you have to believe in yourself. You have to know these things. You have to execute, and you have to be tenacious, because at the end of the day, if you fail, nobody's there to be like, oh, you failed, get back up. Like, unless you have a good community of friends, people in your pocket, in your corner, which I do, and I appreciate every single last one of them that I can call and I can be like, hey, this happened, can you give me some advice? Or, like, I have friends. I'm lucky because I have friends that are actually entrepreneurs, and they can empathize with me. We can talk about our struggles. We can talk about our losses and taxes. We can talk about all these different things, and we can share this experience. And so I'm grateful for that, and that helps me to get through. But at the end of the day, like, if you have a bad day, your business is, like, especially like right now, your business is going to suffer. So that's why I said it requires for you to be the best version of yourself. And a lot of people are not willing to face themselves. They're not willing to face what it is that they need to do, what it is that they need to get past, who do they need to become, what habits do they need to establish, what does discipline look like for them. People, they're not willing to really sit down and figure that out. And so that's just my little tidbits. You want to maximize your opportunity, especially in your industry. Like, if you know that certain events are going to happen in your arena. I used this example earlier, but specifically, like, the FIFA, I think it's what you call it, the FIFA World Cup is going to be here in 2026. So this is for all entrepreneurs that are in Atlanta. When I say here, I mean here in Atlanta, Georgia. That is a huge opportunity to maximize all of the people worldwide that are coming to Atlanta. If you have a house, if you have an Airbnb, and it's in that vicinity of where the game is going to be at, you better get ready. Like, get ready to rent it out. Get ready to put some, just get ready. That's all I'm saying is, like, it's not often that the World Cup happens in Atlanta, Georgia. I've been in Atlanta now for 8 years, and this is the first time that this has happened in the 8 years that I've been here. So as a business owner, as an expert in your industry, you got to know these things. You have to know what is happening in your area that you can leverage, that you can take advantage of, that you can be a part of, that you can help, that can attract people into your funnel, into what you're trying to accomplish. Because if you don't, ain't nobody gonna call you and be like, yo, this is what's happening. Like, you just missed out on the opportunity. Somebody else has it. Somebody else was ready. They're gonna take advantage of it. You weren't ready. That's okay. But now you got to face those consequences of you could have been able to leverage X, Y, and Z, but you didn't because you were focused on something else. You weren't focused on the World Cup coming, all the money that's going to be. It's going to be so much money coming to Atlanta in 2026. Y'all don't understand. Like, the amount of money that's coming here because of that, just in that weekend, whatever, like, it's going to be so much money. And invest in mentors. Like, I used to be afraid to invest in mentors because of their price. They be expensive as heck. But I invested in a mentor, and it has literally changed. It's changing my life. I can honestly say that. And this mentor, like, they're very expensive, but like the value, and the insight, and the systems, and the organization, and the access that I've been granted because of that, like, I would invest in another mentor just because of that. Now, you can't just invest in everybody. Like, you got to know if you trust the person, you've been following them, they offer a class, a course, whatever the case may be, then you can take advantage of it. But like, don't be afraid to invest in a mentor, especially if this is your first time as an entrepreneur. You don't really know what you're doing. You have questions. I know mentors are a great way to segue into fields and spaces that you might be a little afraid of because you're not really sure about how to go about certain things. Research and understand your industry. You should be an expert at your industry. No one should be able to tell you what's going on in your industry. You know it like the back of your hand or your head. You could tell somebody right now if they ask you where do you see your industry in the next 5 years? You should know. You got to be ahead of your industry. You got to know what's going on. I listen to podcasts every week, habitually. Like, it's a part of my routine. Like, almost like I take showers every day. Like, I listen to these podcasts. I listen to these people habitually 3 times a week. And they're giving me so much game, so much insight into my industry. So find out who your industry experts are. If they have podcasts, if they have books, read their books, listen to their podcasts, go to their YouTube channels, like, be in their field. Sometimes you don't have direct access to them, but you have access to their digital blueprint or digital footprint, I should say. Those are all my free game, because I just gave y'all a hella game. I'm not even gonna hold you. I just gave y'all some shit that, like, if you really execute on it, you're gonna be that person. But anyways, I'm just the girl, Taylor Nixon, doing things. I shot a music video this weekend for Bye. If you guys haven't watched The Penguin, you need to watch it, because the whole entire show is crazy. Like, I'm not even a person that watches TV, but I would watch The Penguin again, and I'm not just saying that because my song is in it, but it was a really good series. So I'm really excited to see, like, where they go from here with the whole Penguin and Batman, etc. But there is a music video coming, so we shot a music video. Shout out to Kamlin for giving me the inspiration on that, because I wasn't going to shoot a music video until he said something. But we shot a music video, and it's dope. Y'all gotta bear with me this week. This week has been turbulent, I'm not gonna lie. Like, got into a car accident. I'm safe. I'm here. Life is good. The other person is safe. It was scary, but we're here. And that's a whole other point. That's my whole other point with entrepreneurship, is like, life happens. Life keeps lifing. The world does not stop. So it's like, you got decision. You can either keep going, or you can stop and cry, and whatever the case may be. Like, this is not for the weak. This is not for the weak. Like, I'm here by the grace of God, y'all. I'm still processing it all. But it was a scary accident. I never got into a car accident before, at least not with me being the driver. So yeah, and it was on the freeway. So that was even more scary, and it was raining, and it was dark outside. Like, I'm here though. So shout out to God for that. Shout out to you guys for tuning in. Please rewatch this episode. I really feel like you need to hear it 3 times at least to let it sink in. And inshallah, I'll see you guys next Sunday. Thanks for tuning in, and y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace.